Hello and welcome back to the Mind Body Shift podcast with me, your host, Katerina, an online coach, personal trainer and founder of the Mind Body Method, where I help women, especially 9-to-5ers, ditch extremes and build strong, sustainable bodies without starting over every Monday. So today we're diving into quite a big one. It's the 5 most common mistakes I see women making when they're working full-time and trying to lose fat and build strength. Essentially working on their body composition and trying to change their bodies, fit into their clothes better, and just feel good as well. So this episode is especially for you if you've ever thought, I know what to do, but I just can't seem to do it consistently, or I'll start again on Monday. So I get that, but hopefully this podcast will help you. So let's get into it. At number 1, undereating during the day and overeating at night. So this is mistake number 1, because undereating during the day and overeating at night is probably the most common pattern that I see amongst 9-to-5ers. I know you're busy all day, you've got meetings, emails, deadlines, and just trying to fit in eating around working in an office especially. You might just grab a coffee in the morning and something small for lunch, or you might be grabbing something like a meal deal, which isn't the worst thing to eat for lunch. At least it will keep you full, but you're making the wrong choices around that, and that's then making you want to eat more later on during the evening. And this is really quite common, like I say. So by 6 p.m, you might be ravenous. You're home from work after your commute, and you need to cook. Your body's in survival mode. So you eat dinner, whether it's a healthy one or not, but then most people do keep snacking all evening, or at least part of the evening. So if that sounds familiar to you, then just know it isn't really a matter of willpower. It's a biological one. It's a biological issue. Your body is trying to make up for everything you missed earlier on in the day. So undereating during the day does slow down your energy, your concentration, and your drive to work out. And if you do work out, then obviously the lack of energy will impact that workout as well, which has an impact on the way you see working out, especially in the evening when really, let's be honest, you probably just want to chill. So the best thing you can really do for this is to start front loading your day with steady fuel. It doesn't really have to be complicated or, a lot of prep. Really, just think protein-rich breakfast, something like a smoothie with some protein powder and fruits, or it could be also like overnight oats. Adding protein will really help just to sustain your hunger levels and your insulin levels as well, especially if you add a little bit of healthy fat in there as well. And then you want to really make sure you're nourishing your body with a satisfying lunch, preferably made at home. But if you can't, then like I say, a meal deal can be pretty good if you make the right choices. So look at choices that are higher in protein. At least 20 grams is the best, or plus 20 grams. And if you're going to have the snack with the meal deal, then obviously fruit would be a great one to go for, or some kind of yogurt. They've got a lot of different options these days, like protein yogurts or even nuts. I know they do them graze packs as well that usually are included in meal deals. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a salad, but something with grains would be good. But if you want to go for a sandwich, then do make sure, like I say, it's got that protein in it. And the other thing is just not to reach for carbs and caffeine as your main thing for lunch, because that's, you just know, I know you know this, that by 3 p.m, 2 p.m, you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel that slump in your energy. And it's just basically from not eating enough of the right foods, where you're just sat there, and it will then impact your performance in the gym. So making sure that you eat the right foods for lunch and breakfast will help keep your appetite regulated before it gets out of control. Moving on to number 2 is too much cardio and not enough strength training. And this is a very common mistake, especially amongst 9-to-5ers. I think probably because they feel like they don't really move all day long. And so they feel like they just want to move their body and that's their kind of go-to. They often go on walks, they run, they attend classes, which are all great for your heart health, mental health, and just moving your body. But if fat loss or body composition is your goal, then excessive cardio without resistance training can actually be working against you, and that's what you want to avoid. So muscle is really your metabolism's best friend here, because when you train and your muscles, and when you strength train, you build lean muscle, which burns more calories at rest when you're sat at your desk, and it gives your body shape and structure. And it also just really helps with a healthy body as well, just getting more muscle and less fat. So the ratios are going to be in your favor more. So if you're doing 5 spin classes a week or doing crazy workout routines where you're just doing loads of cardio and wondering why nothing's changing, it might be time to swap a few of those for weights. Not maybe, actually, it is time to swap a few of those things for weights. So you just need to start small, like 2 to 3 full body sessions a week is enough to see real progress. And if time is tight for you, then just know that even 30 minutes of consistent strength training can really be a game changer for you, and you will start to see results like quite quickly, especially if it's something you've not really done before. So yeah, hopefully that's shifted that, if that is something you needed to hear. And moving on to number 3 is all or nothing weekday mentality. So I previously did a podcast on all or nothing thinking where I delved more into that way of being. But this is really about the weekday mentality, because being perfect Monday to Friday and then giving up on the weekend is never going to help anybody. So this is what I call the weekend trap. So you're good all week, you're tracking food, you're hitting your workouts, you're being super disciplined, but by Friday night you're exhausted and you're burnt out. You've got that Friday feeling as well. So you relax really way more than you've relaxed all week, and you kind of just let yourself go. You have a few drinks, maybe a takeaway, more snacks here and there, and likely to be skipping your workout if this is the kind of mentality that you're in. So then by Monday you might end up feeling a little bit guilty and you feel like you're starting over again, and that's just not a good way to be in your mindset. You want to really keep things balanced. This cycle is really exhausting and it's not sustainable at all. But consistency beats perfection every time. A few imperfect days don't ruin your progress, but being extreme, then swinging the other way, does stall it. So here you just want to stop aiming for being perfect all the time during the week. Give yourself a little bit of wiggle room and just start aiming for good enough, because that will then translate into your weekend where you're not going to basically take 2 steps back. So a few things you could do is maybe go for a walk if you're not up for a full workout. You can eat more mindfully, not only during the week, but during the weekend. You don't have to track every single calorie, but if you are really serious about this whole losing fat and gaining muscle, working on your body composition, then I would definitely track at the weekend and just keep that momentum going. But I know it's not for everyone, so you do what works for you. You can be very mindful and just be a bit more intuitive with your food. And also just if you are having crazy big treats over the weekend, just know that it's all right to have a treat or 2, but definitely include them into, how you're going to be seeing through the rest of the weekend, because you don't want to feel like your whole weekend was a write-off and then just feel crap about it on Monday again. So you can do all these things. They're very doable, and really these are the shifts that happen that allow your mental state to progress and allow you to move forwards with your journey. So moving on to mistake number 4 is letting work run the whole day for you. So letting work take over your entire day. I do get it. Like your plate's full, you're busy, you've got a lot going on, and sometimes work can really get you down as well. You're just thinking like, you might even be thinking, why am I even here? Like, I don't even enjoy my job. You might love your job, but I know, I've been in positions before where I've worked my 9 to 5 and I just thought like, this isn't me. So that can also take its toll on your mentality throughout the day. So you might be consistently skipping workouts or eating at your desk and ending the day just feeling drained and a bit low. And it's not just hurting your health, it's hurting your progress. So just know that movement doesn't need to be extreme or time consuming, but it will really, really help with your mental health and just feeling better in yourself. It just needs to be considered a little bit better. So you schedule it in like a meeting is probably my favorite technique here. Just block it in your calendar. Even if it's just something like 30 minutes, that is enough to get a good lifting session in, or even a stretch or a walk. Do what you can. But like I say, 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week would be amazing. So also just take a moment to actually pause during the day. It could be a short walk, a real lunch break, because I know, and I've done it before, just sit at my desk for lunch and it is so pretty depressing actually. So I basically, when I used to work a 9 to 5, I would catch myself doing this from time to time, but I would 99% of the time make sure that I get out and get a walk in just to make myself feel better, if anything. So even a few deep breaths before a meeting, if it kind of causes you a bit of anxiety, like these little things really do matter and they make a difference, because you're not a machine and you can't pour from an empty cup at the end of the day. So prioritizing your health, just know that it's not a selfish thing. You need to take that time, and it's necessary if you want to feel better, perform better, and ultimately just live better. So do make sure you take that time, have it considered, and just do the things that you can do in a short amount of time. So this leads me on to the 5th and final mistake I see women make during 9 to 5 roles, which is chasing quick fixes instead of building habits. And this isn't just for 9 to 5ers, this is actually for like most women. It really does translate into every woman's life if they're trying to lose fat and just get healthier. So, this is another one I do get. You might get fed up, you're feeling frustrated, and you fall for like a detox or a shred that promises fast results. And maybe it works for a little bit, but then what? What happens after that short amount of time where you just go all in? You go right back to your old habits, and most people tend to feel even worse than they did before. Also, just knowing that you've tried something and quote unquote failed, that makes you feel worse for it as well. And again, I've been there, and I just am very much against these quick fixes. What you really need to do is build slow, steady, repeatable habits and make sure they fit into your life and not take over your life, but just fit into your life. This is the main difference here. So you got to think along the lines of like a couple of strength workouts a week, like daily movements, like walking, get your steps in, give yourself a step goal. You'll be surprised how little you might do if you don't actually go on intentional walks. Eating enough protein with most meals, managing your stress and your sleep. Make sure you get enough sleep, which is a really, really easy one to kind of slip through the radar. Like we all know sleep's important, and it really, really can be the game changer when you're on a fat loss and health journey. So be kind to yourself, especially on the tough days. This one's not really like a wow kind of point, but it's really effective. And most importantly, it's all about being consistent and creating sustainable habits so that you're able to keep things moving and keep improving. So yeah, just to recap real quick, the 5 mistakes to avoid if you do work 9 to 5 and want to lose fat and get stronger. Number 1, undereating all day and then overeating at night. Number 2, doing loads of cardio but skipping your strength training. Number 3, being all or nothing during the week and falling off on weekends. Number 4, letting work run your day without making time for yourself. And number 5, chasing quick fixes instead of building real habits. So if any of these have hit home for you, you're not alone. I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of women around the world that are like this. But just know that you can change your approach, and it just takes a bit of strategy, support, and like I said before, consistency. So if you do want help building that kind of structure without extremes, then this is exactly the thing that I do with my one-to-one coaching clients inside the Mind Body Method. You can check out the link in the show notes or come chat with me on Instagram. And if this episode was helpful, send it to a friend or share it in your stories. It really helps me reach more women who need to hear this. And especially, I'm just starting out with these podcasts, so any sharing really, really helps. But I appreciate you for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next one.